And welcome to the Howard Eskin Show. Another special guest tonight. Last week we had Mark Sanchez on, and he dealt a lot with the offense. Tonight we have Seth Joyner on, and he'll deal with the offense, but we'll deal a lot with the defense. And we'll talk to Seth about this year's Eagles teams and a lot of interesting things that are different for the Eagles this year. And we will certainly get into that. And then I've got it's kind of funny. I actually think it's great and it's also hilarious. I have a new AI feature. Uh, Despite what the director of education says in the United States, AI, I'm not talking about the steak sauce. I'm talking about artificial intelligence. And it's a woman's voice, ask her questions. And I, we're going to deal with the concession prices at Eagles game, which I think are disgraceful and ruthless and unfair. Maybe ruthless might be a little harsh, but certainly unfair to the fans. I mean, how much money do you need to make? But we'll do all that. But I also want to tell you, our presenting sponsor, who is very, very, very important to the show, Stillwell Financial Advisors. Hey, listen, in today's world, you need somebody to help you with your wealth. And I've talked to Jeff Stillwell multiple times. He knows what he's talking about. He can lead you in the right direction. He has great ideas and ideas that are based on facts, and they work. And you too can get great financial advice from Jeff Stillwell. There's the number, 732-343-0813, Stillwell Financial Advisors. Like I said, we're going to talk about a lot of things. Interesting moment after Bill Belichick lost his first game as a college coach. We'll talk about a question. Listen to Seth, and I will ask a question from something he said. And the prize tonight, last show we gave away Oakley sunglasses. Tonight we're going to give away an autographed baseball Mike Schmidt. I'll ask you the question. Submit your answer to my website, howardeskin.com, by midnight, Friday, September 5th. Watch the show on Saturday, September 6th, and we'll pick from the correct answers at random a person to win the Mike Schmidt autographed baseball. And you can watch us on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. Subscribe to YouTube and you're notified as soon as we go on live. And it's easy enough to find the shows everywhere, but certainly on YouTube. So we'll do that tonight. There's a lot of things that are different from the Eagles, on this football team. And we're going to talk to Seth about that in a minute and to see if he's comfortable with it, not comfortable with it. But first, I want to tell you about some other fine people that support this program, and that would be Piazza Property Pros. They do an excellent job. They can redo your property and make it look like this. You got the fire pit. You can have all kinds of things, whether the whirlpool, whatever you want, or you can just do a pool, or you can just have landscaping and pool maintenance. I stopped over Piazza Property Pros the other day, and they are smoking with all the work they're doing. And they're building a lot of in-ground pools for people. And obviously they're building a lot of them because people trust them. 25 years of experience. They don't subcontract, so they can do pretty much anything for you. Excavation, hardscaping, fencing, landscaping, pool maintenance, whatever you want. Give them a call because they will discuss it within your budget. No charge, 610-566-2608. That's 610-566-2608. Or you can check them out on the internet, piazzaoutdoor.com. Also, there's a great deal going on right now. And when I stopped over there last week at Audi Westchester, they told me they are really selling, because people love the deal. It's a great deal. Selling a lot of the electric cars. The new 2025 Audi Q6 e-tron, $499 a month is a great price. And the Audi Q4 e-tron for $399 a month. You'll need $5,295 down for the Q6 and $4,156 down for the Q4, plus taxes and registration fees. When I was there, I talked to one of the customers, and we talked for a little while, and he ended up buying the Q4. So stop by your Audi dealer. Great new facility located at 1421 Wilmington Pike. Always fun to look for a car, and the people are great. Grab a cup of coffee, some snacks. This special offer, I'm telling you, will not last long, because the tax credits on electric cars is not going to last long as well. So take advantage. The Q6, the Audi Q6 e-tron, $499 a month, or the Q4 for $399 a month. That's AudiWestchester.com. All right. The Eagles open the season as we speak, less than 24 hours, actually just about 24 hours from when we speak, and they're playing the Dallas Cowboys. I think it's a sneaky tough game, but I'm going to ask a guy that played in those games against the Cowboys. Let's bring in Seth Joyner, three-time Pro Bowler, 8 years a Philadelphia Eagle. He won a Super Bowl with the Denver Broncos. Seth is a guy that looks at the defense and knows what the hell's going on. Seth, welcome to the program, and thank you very much.
Good to see you, Ken. What's happening?
It's just another day in paradise. You know what? Paradise will only be if they win that game tomorrow night. All right, so let's look at this team. This team is, and every time you win a Super Bowl, you lose players. This team is different from last year's team. So are there things with this team that concern you?
Well, listen, anytime you lose 4 starters on the defense and 1 on the offense, you got to have some concerns, and you got a new offensive coordinator. Let's deal with, the offense first, because that's the least amount of turnover. You got, your right guard, who I thought, was Pro Bowl worthy last year. The only reason I think that he doesn't make the Pro Bowl last year is because the NFL doesn't want to see all 5 of the Philadelphia Eagles offensive linemen, as Pro Bowlers, because he was certainly worthy. And then, now you got Tyler Steen that has to step in. And to me, Mekhi Becton was a dominant force on the offensive line last year. So we've got to keep our eye firmly focused on Tyler Steen, see if he's ready to take, the next step. Then as the offensive coordinator, I just don't feel like there's any way that Kevin Patullo can mess this up. You got the most talented offensive unit in the National Football League. You got the best offensive line. You've got arguably the best 1-2 punch at wide receiver. You don't really pay a whole lot of attention to your slot guys, and your tight ends, but you do have viable people there, especially, with Jahan Dotson picking it up at the end of last year and in the Super Bowl. You go and you trade for a 4-3 guy in John Mechie, the third. And then, you get this, out of nowhere, you get this, Darius Cooper kid who just splashes upon the scene throughout training camp and the preseason. Dallas Goedert's back and healthy. I still think that, in the right position, I think he could be a top 5 tight end in the National Football League right now. Grant Calcaterra flashed and showed his brilliance last year. You got the number 1 ranked player, according by his peers, running the football, historic year last year, and probably the most underappreciated, quarterback and Super Bowl MVP in the National Football League. So all he's got to do is not mess it up. Just follow the script of what you did last year, make some tweaks, some changes, and let the players do what they do.
Okay, but here's the issue in the NFL. Everybody sees what they did last year. Without Saquon Barkley being as successful as he was, the offense is very good, and you pointed out all the really good players they had. It really starts with the offensive line. So as long as they stay healthy, that's good. But Saquon Barkley's not going to rush for 2,000 yards again this year. But he's got to be effective. And the other team's coaches aren't stupid. And Cowboys got rid of that dummy as their head coach. So maybe they might be a little bit better. And the Eagles respect their defensive coordinator. Don't you think other teams now, okay, this is what's made the Eagles effective? And they try to coach against that. Don't you think that's a little bit of an issue?
Howard, I watched 15 games last year, teams trying to stop the Philadelphia Eagles. And there was a half a game and a full game that they were able to stop this Russian attack. Okay. When Jalen Hurts got knocked out of the week 16 game against the Washington Commanders with the concussion, all of a sudden the threat of the RPO and the read option went out the window. So now you didn't necessarily have to play the 8-man front to be able to take away the fact that Jalen may pull the ball and take off and run, because you knew Kenny Pickett wasn't going to take off and run with it. You could play a loaded box and dare Kenny Pickett to throw the ball against cover one, single high safety or a zero look, because you weren't worried about him. Okay. Then the only other time that they slowed Saquon down was in the Super Bowl. 25 carries for 57 yards in the Super Bowl. Steve Spagnuolo said, we're not going to let Saquon run. We're going to force Jalen to beat us throwing the football. It's exactly what he did. Exactly what he did. Okay. And people won't give him credit for what he did in that game on the biggest stage. Now, every team is going to look at what Steve Spagnuolo and the Kansas City Chiefs did to slow down and stop Saquon. And let me just say this. I don't believe that he'll rush for 2,000 yards again either. But I'm never one to say what somebody can't do until I see them not do it. That's just an opinion that we don't believe that he can do it again. Okay? Until he proves that he can't do it, or the Eagles decide that they're not going to give him 345 touches this year running the ball, then I'll believe that he can't do it. But my thing is, they're going to take the blueprint that the Kansas City Chiefs put out there, and they're going to try to implement it. But a whole bunch of other teams tried to implement it last year and couldn't do it either. A lot of teams don't have the personnel that the Kansas City Chiefs does, and the defensive genius of Steve Spagnuolo to be able to accomplish what he did in the Super Bowl. Okay, so and believe me, if you think that Nick Sirianni and Kevin Patullo are sitting over at the NovaCare Center, just sitting on their hands, not realizing that teams are going to evolve and they're going to come up with ways to beat them, and therefore they've got to adjust to the adjustments and have some new wrinkles in what they do, then you're crazy.
All right, let's look at the defense, because they lost some people, and the Eagles were probably more effective because they got leads. They didn't have to play from behind, so they could run the ball more. They didn't have to ask Jalen to pass the ball. The Eagles coaches, I know, really don't want them to throw more than 23, an average of about 23 passes a game. So if you're playing from behind, if this defense isn't as good, so my question is, what issues or what you might be a little concerned about with what the Eagles either lost or what they don't have now on defense?
On the defensive side of the ball, well, there's lots of questions. First of all, you got two new starters on the defensive line. Even though Jordan Davis was a starter last year, Milton Williams logged a hell of a lot more time, playing time than he did. So essentially, in a lot of ways, as the season progressed, Milton Williams was essentially the starter. Okay. Now you got the same scenario all over again. Jordan Davis will be the starter, and we're gonna, I believe that Moro Ojomo is set to have a breakout season. The question is, can Moro Ojomo step up and be the Milton Williams this year that Milton Williams was last year? And then can Ty Robinson and some of these other backups at defensive tackles, can they step in when you have to give Jalen Carter a little bit of break, or they are in the rotation on the other side opposite Jalen Carter. Can they get the job done? Then you have the departed Josh Sweat, and Jalen Hunt is taking over his spot. And I feel good about him because he's another one of those players at the end of last year that began to come on and play extremely well at the end of the year. But the question is, can they step up and get it done? And then
Hmm.
um, you've got three backups in the Ibu. I can't even pronounce his last name. It's going to take me a while to get it. So you
Yeah.
got him. You've got Josh Uche,
All right.
and then the other kid's name is just not coming to my mind. I've been going over these names for the last couple of days trying to memorize them. But there's one other. There's one other. Aziz Ojolari. Okay,
Right.
and these guys step up and be a difference maker. I'm not worried about Nolan Smith. Nolan Smith is set to take off after what we saw
I
last year.
like Nolan Smith. Yep.
Yeah. So the question is, will these three guys on the other side be able to give us the production, that Josh Sweat was able to give us primarily? And that's on Jalen Hunt to do that. And will these other two guys be able to step up and circumvent, not necessarily circumvent, but add to that production when Jalen Hunt is out of the game, in rotation? Then you got the question mark over at the cornerback position opposite Quinyon Mitchell. I have no problem whatsoever with the Eagles moving on from Darius Slay because a lot of people thought that he had a good year last year. I'm of the opinion that he's had a very average couple of years, the last 2 years. Okay. Um, I thought a free agency mistake was letting Isaiah Rodgers walk out the door.
Oh,
Because
I really liked him.
yeah,
Really. Yeah.
yes. And was he a little rough around the edges last year? You throw him in a spot duty when a guy isn't necessarily, playing on a regular basis, but you get Slay to get mixed up. Hey, Rodgers, get in the game. Well, he's standing over there on the sideline cold. And I get it as a backup, that's your job to be warmed
Right.
up and ready at a moment's time. But that guy spent the whole calendar year before that out of the game. So you have to expect that there would be a little bit of rust that he would have to knock off, especially playing in a backup role. Okay. So now you let him walk out of the door. You say that Eli Ricks and Keely Ringo are going to battle it out for the starting position. Well, they figure out through OTAs that might not work out. Okay. So then they go and they sign Adoree Jackson. Guys just bounced all over the place. Vic
Right.
Fangio during training camp alluded to that fact. You bring him in the mix, and now you got all these, we got him and Keely Ringo fighting it out because Eli Ricks is pretty much falling off the map. And then all of a sudden, towards the end of training camp, they make a trade for Jacorian Bennett from the Raiders. That
Right.
to me said that they are really not sure about the other two guys when you make a move like that. So now Adoree Jackson is slotted as a starter, but in a lot of ways, I kind of believe that they think when it's all said and done and the dust settles, that Jacorian Bennett is probably going to be the starter there. Okay?
Well, if they get a pass rush, obviously that helps the back end of your defense. So that's going to be really important for the Eagles. And that means Jordan Davis has got to have, and he's playing for a contract.
Mhm.
So this is the time when the bell's got to go off. And Vic Fangio has done a really good job with this team. Do you like the way, and Mark Sanchez pointed it out, it's kind of interesting what he does. No deep, nothing deep, and let them have drives of 12 to 13, 14 plays. And if they score, they score. But there's more chance that they'll turn it over. Do you like the way Vic Fangio coaches the defense? Obviously, very good
Well,
coach.
listen, I'm going to say this, Howard, because I'm a fan of pressure. I think pressure butts pipes,
Yep.
pressure forms diamonds, and I get the fear of the big play that sometimes coaches are afraid of. But sometimes I think within the scheme of every game, there's a point in time where you have to bring some pressure. And, our last two hired coordinators, um, not that guy, that wound up being the coordinator the year before last, by default. We had Jonathan Gannon and we had Sean Desai. And it was told to us that they were NGO. Well, now instead of the branches and the leaves, resemble what the hell they were running when they were here. Nothing. And even Jonathan Gannon has gone on to Arizona and become a much more pressure type of defensive coordinator. So
Right.
listen, I like what Vic is doing. I love what he's doing because even though he's not a blitz guy,
Right.
he's not a bend but don't break all the time type of defensive coordinator either, especially if he has the confidence in his players out on the outside. Well, I know he has it with Quinyon Mitchell. I know he has it with Cooper DeJean. He's going to have it with these linebackers because both of these starting linebackers are great in coverage. The question is going to be how quickly can they get that guy on the outside opposite, whoever it is, assimilated and up to speed where he can trust them to be a little more aggressive in coverage at time.
All right, Seth, how difficult is it? It's first of all, it's difficult to get to the Super Bowl. I mean, let's be honest, it's really, really difficult. But to get back there 2 years in a row is really tough. And Nick Sirianni playing this little game, well, we're not defending champions. I mean, come on, you have to be an idiot. And I think he's a very good coach. You have to be an idiot. We're not defending champions. Then what the hell are you? So the first question is, wait, let me ask you the first question. How about him saying yesterday at his news conference, he didn't know they were dropping the banner. He didn't know they were dropping the banner for the Super Bowl. Come on. You don't want him to think about it. But then in the second breath, he says, let me quote him correctly. No idea it was banner night. But then he said, we won't be out there for that. And the fans want to share the moment with the players by them being out there. Do you think the first question is, do you think Nick Sirianni has completely overreacted to this nonsense about worrying that the players are going to think about last year?
No, because, as a head coach, your job is multifaceted, okay? I think he knows and he realizes that this team is in a Super Bowl window and those Super Bowl windows don't last long. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So he's creatively trying to come up with ways to not allow his team to fall into the trap of thinking that they've arrived. Okay. So he's playing. So when you're a head coach, you're a coach, you're a mentor to some players, you're a father figure to other players, but you're a psychologist to all 53 of those guys. Okay. And you're a salesman. He is selling his team what he believes is necessary for his team to get back to the promised land.
Yeah, but here, let me just challenge a little bit of that. When the players hear, and the players listen to some of the things he says, and the players hear, he says, well, I didn't know they were dropping the banner. It was banner night. What do you mean you didn't know? What do you mean you didn't know? There's a way he's getting bad PR advice. Nick, this is what you got to say. Hey, listen, I understand it's exciting for the fans, but I don't want our players to think about any of that stuff. I want them to focus on the game. And I'm going to emphasize we got to focus on the game and not worry about all that because that is the fans' excitement. But there's a different way but to say I didn't know it was banner night is completely ridiculous.
Well, let me ask you the question, Howard. Has Nick ever won a Super Bowl before?
Yeah, he's won a Super Bowl.
Well, I'm just saying, as a head coach, he doesn't know what he may not know what the plan is, and maybe he is playing being coy a little bit. I'll give him. Listen, Howard. I'll give him that.
I think he's a terrific coach. I mean, that's not about his coaching.
Absolutely. But the one I'll say this, okay, and it kind of goes along with with his messaging. There was a time when Doug Peterson was the head coach when he first came in. I listened to him at the podium and I said I wouldn't follow that guy if he had a bag of gold coins slung over his shoulder with a hole in the bag. Okay.
Well, I would.
I
I'd
said
pick up the coins. Yeah.
I said the same exact thing about Nick Sirianni when he first got here. Okay. And you remember very well when Mike Lombardi came out and said, Doug Peterson is not a head coach. He has no business. What did his players do? They all came to his defense. Okay. Every last one of them. Last year, Nick struggled through the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season. And people were calling for his job at 2-2. Okay. And what happened? His players came to his defense. So let me tell you something. It doesn't make for a hill of beans. Don't nobody give a damn what you or I or anybody else thinks about Nick Sirianni. But if those 53 guys in that locker room believes what he's selling and believes what he says, that's all that matters. That's all that matters, Howard. Because at the end of the day, those players believed in Doug Peterson enough to follow him to the Super Bowl promised land.
Mm-hmm.
And those players last year believed in Nick Sirianni enough to follow him to the promised land. And they still hear his voice. When you have Jalen Hurts that comes out and he's re-quoting some of the things that Nick Sirianni is saying, quote unquote, hey, contribution over credit. Okay. It doesn't matter how we get it done. We just got to get it done. Unquote. Jalen Hurts is saying that this is the messaging that Nick Sirianni is giving to the players. And if your quarterback, who is the undisputed leader of the team, is echoing what the head coach is saying and the players believe in it, who gives a damn what the hell we think?
Yeah, but when he's in a meeting, he emphasizes that. But to tell the fans and everybody, oh, I didn't know it was banner night. What do you think? That's one of the most, it's playing the Cowboys is exciting. That's one of the most exciting things that these fans are coming out there for. They're going to be there early and they want to watch the banner drop. But hey, listen, you can say, I understand what the fans love, but our players can't pay attention to that. We've got to focus. And I will emphasize that. And I've emphasized that in the meetings. And players listen to him in the meetings. But to say that, the players say, well, what is he talking about? But they know what their mission is. And the players got to make plays. In the end, the players got to make plays anyway. But I just thought that was, he says.
The players, Howard, the players know what he means.
Yeah.
That's just coach speak. The players know full well. And if you think that those players aren't going to be out on the field, okay, when they drop that banner, and the beauty of it is, guess what? We get to drop that banner in front of Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys. Come on.
Yeah.
You think those players are going to be on the field, but that's just coach speak. That's just Nick dancing around, and not feed. And at the end of the day, we don't have the flexibility. Okay. We don't get the opportunity to create the messaging for him.
I think they're going to drop the banner before the players come out. I don't think okay. All right. I'll bet you $1 for I'll bet you $1 for charity.
I bet you. Good. I as a matter of fact, I'll give you 100-to-1 odds. Okay.
Okay.
If those players aren't on the field when they roll that, when they roll that banner out, Jeffrey Lurie is not going to allow those players to be in the locker room when they roll the banner out for the fans. Are you kidding me?
Okay.
Sirianni doesn't even have a say in that.
All right. And then he said they're not going to be on the field. He's the coach. We'll see. We'll see. All right. So, the game tomorrow night, I think Dallas is better without Micah Parsons against the Eagles because they neutralized him, because he couldn't stop the run. But so what do you see? I mean, that's just,
I don't have a nervous, hey, Howard, I don't have a nervous tick. Go ahead. Keep talking. They're not better off without Mike. I'm sorry.
But no, well, you know what? It's just, he said it was out of his hands. So he didn't accept $41 million to get to $47 million a year. And I get it. I get it. I get all that stuff. But they didn't stop the run as well. So, I mean, Kenny Clark is not Micah Parsons, but he's a good player. So How do you see that game playing out tomorrow night? I don't think it's going to be as easy as fans want it to be or think it's going to be. I think it could be a close game for a while. That's just my opinion, because it's the first game and there's a lot of there's a lot of different things and there's new players too.
At the end of the day, what I've come to really dislike is the first 4 games of the season, because the
Yep.
players don't play in preseason anymore. And the organizations are looking at the first 4 games of the season as the preseason for the starters. I absolutely hate it. Okay. I understand why they do it, but
Yep.
I hate it. And this is tricky. On paper, it should be no contest. But the fact that you got a new head coach in Dallas, new coordinators, and they can do some things to you early in the game that you can't anticipate, that makes it problematic. And then throw on top of it, you're trying to get the youngest defense in the National Football League up to speed, in a divisional game, the first game of the season.
Yep.
Okay. I'm not worried about the offense. Listen, Dallas's defense is not better without Micah Parsons. That's just a fact.
Against the Eagles.
I don't care who against.
Okay.
They are not a better defense. Think about it, okay? He's the joker for them. They can put his hand in the ground. They can stand him up on the edge. They can
I
play
get
him
it.
at linebacker. They can put him at defensive tackle if they want to, and he'll succeed. And you already lost DeMarcus Lawrence, your defensive end on the other side. Now you lose your best pass rusher, arguably the best defensive player that you have on your team, and you somehow think that makes them a better defense. That's just BS to me, Howard. Okay, now they're going to be better in the middle against the run because they acquired Kenny Clark. Okay,
Right.
but the Eagles can run off tackle all day long and nullify Kenny Clark in the double team in the middle. So how do you think that they're going to be any better, without Micah than they are with him? Now, don't get me wrong; they've got some good players, some very skilled and good players overall
Right.
on defense. But they're just as much as a disadvantage. And then think about psychologically. I had Emmitt Smith on my TV show this week, and I asked him poignantly. I said, "What is the temperature and the feeling surrounding not only the team but the city?" And he said, "Everybody's pissed. Everybody's still pissed. You can't take one of your leaders off your defense and jettison him out of town and think that that's not going to have a psychological effect to how you play the game of defense. It's just impossible. Okay? That's going to affect the psyche of the team because you took one of the best players off your team and you traded him 2 weeks before the season started. All because you wanted to be in control of the situation. You wanted to negotiate through the player instead of through the normal protocols, which is the player's agent. Okay?
Yeah,
And
but
this,
they offered him $41 million a year. I mean,
listen, and $41 million a year can be construed in a lot of different ways. Okay, $41 million is $41 million. I wish that I was a young 20-something-year-old in today's NFL.
yeah, right.
It is what it is. But
Yep.
it's in the structure of how you're trying to pay the $41 million. That within itself speaks volume. And what Jerry got to a point was, and I think you begin to see this, across all sports. These owners are getting to a place where they're like, we own the billion-dollar entity. We're not going to let these players begin to dictate to us, what the contracts are going to look like and how it's going to be structured and all that kind of stuff. Before I do, and this is Jerry probably speaking, I'm just like hypothetically speaking. I'm going to send a message to the rest of my team that things are going to be run on my terms. The owner of this 12 to $15 billion entity, not by the guy that's going to make $40 million. So guess what? We're going to ship your ass out of here. We're going to get Kenny Clark to help with the run, and we're going to get 2 first-round draft picks. And this is the thing that blows my mind. Thank you, Jerry Claus, okay? Because you just gave us Christmas in August by making
Okay. So with that, how much do the Eagles win by? Well, we'll just, obviously we're going to win.
It's not going to be it's not going to be an easy game because all the questions and variables. Now, are the Eagles going to win the game? Hell yeah. I believe they're going to win the game, hell yeah. But the problem is you don't know how it's going to play out because you have all of these new variables in week one. And it is a division game. Like they went to Dallas and just stomped them last year at the end of the year. Yeah, they had their injuries and everything else to go along with it. But
Mhm.
at the other end of the spectrum, listen, you got Dak back, you got CeeDee Lamb back. Still a big question as to who's going to be the running back because if you don't give Dak a running game, guess what? Dak's going to be Dak like he's always been. He'll figure out a way to screw it up. You have to give him balance. I think we're seeing a resurgence in the run game. So quarterbacks who can't throw it 40, 45 times a game without turning it over and throwing it at an efficient percentage, they need a run game, you know? So at some point in time, Dallas is just going to be Dallas. You know, the Eagles are going to win the game. It's not going to be a beatdown. It's not going to be a blowout just because it's the first game of the season.
Right.
But listen, I'd bet some good coin if I was a betting man that the Eagles are going to win this game.
Okay. So you would lay the 7.5 points.
Yes.
You would.
For
Okay.
sure. For
All
sure.
right.
I think
Hey.
the Eagles, I think it's a struggle, but the Eagles probably win by, 8 to 10 points.
Okay. All right. I do want to ask you because there's people out there that remember. First of all, let me before I get to Buddy Ryan, because Buddy and I had our challenges, but Buddy was
Oh, yeah,
funny.
he definitely wanted to kick your ass. I know that for a fact.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And you know what? He never did. But when he went to Arizona, do you remember just to kind of bury the hatchet? I washed his feet at the hotel. You probably don't even remember that. When he came in with Arizona, I washed his feet just to kind of bury the hatchet because
Wow.
he didn't care. In the end, he didn't like what I said, but he was not a head coach. He was a terrific defensive coordinator, but he was not a good head coach. But before we get to that, I want to tell the people all the things you do. I know you got a show. You got a show on YouTube, and you got a lot of things going on. Lay it out for the people.
It's a lot more than you think. Like before we came on the air, somebody came in, in the chat and asked, "Oh, where is Seth going to be, this year?"
I saw. Yep.
So for those who don't know, I left Jacob, last year and started my own pre and post game show. Me,
Okay.
myself, Derek Gunn, and I said me, Derek Gunn, and Mark Farzetta.
Right.
We got, a great young lady, that works with us named Bailey Livesley. She runs our social media, all our clips and all that kind of stuff. And we're integrating her into the show this year. So that show is going to be on my YouTube channel, which if you, go to my YouTube page, is Seth Joyner Show. We have a pre and post game show every hour and a half before kickoff. And then we've got a 90-minute post game show on the same channel.
Okay.
So that's every Eagles game day. Then I've got my TV show, which airs on PHL 17 tonight at 11 p.m. and then NBC Sports Philly on Thursday night, and then 2 more re-airs on NBC Sports Philly before Sunday. And then I have my podcast, and that's, then I have my podcast on Tuesday nights from 7:30 to 8:30 on my YouTube channel. Now, all of my shows are, I put them up on my YouTube channel. So anything that you miss anywhere that's not on YouTube, you can go to my YouTube channel. And the thing we're doing this year is our pre and post game show are going to air live across all my social media platforms. So you'll be able to see it live on Instagram, on X, on Facebook, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, and TikTok. So it won't be hard to find me. And then, to cap it all off, I'm on every Monday morning on WIP with the camera and Richie.
Okay. So the thing is, the easiest way to find it, first of all, you can find it on most of the social media platforms easily, but YouTube, it's really easy to navigate. And when they subscribe, they're notified when you're doing it live. So it really is a good thing.
Last thing, Howard. So on my website, SethJoyner.com, every year I update my schedule. So when you go to the website, the first thing that pops up, boom. Even on my YouTube page, because I screenshot it and put it and pin it to the first page, my entire schedule for the entire week is right there.
All right, cool. That's cool. All right, let me get to. So it's easy enough to find you, and I'm glad you kind of ran it down for people. Buddy Ryan, I I just didn't think he was a good head coach, and he loved you guys on defense, but he really didn't care about the other people, other than the time he let Randall leave early to go to Whitney Houston's birthday party. And that was that was a joke. I mean, that's a disgrace. You can't do that. But I think it was like a Chinese fire drill on the sideline when Buddy was there. But to you guys on defense, he was really good and he really embraced you guys. So you're going to tell me all the good things about Buddy Ryan, but to the team, did everybody respect him?
Well, I think you either respected him or you didn't. You either liked him or you hated him. And he was the same way with you, because if he liked you, then you was one of his guys, and you had to earn that through the rite of passage. My first 2 years, he called me by my name. When I came in my third year for mini camp, he called me Zeph, and I was like, oh boy, I'm one of his guys now, but that's just the way he was. He was old military guy, and he ran his football team like in a military type of way. You had to earn your stripes, but once you earn your stripes, you were one of his guys. Even on the offensive side of the ball, yeah, you had a bunch of offensive guys that didn't like him, and I would push back on the fact of whether he could have been a good head coach or not. I believe that he could have been. Now, and this is why I'm going to say this, Howard. Go back through the previous. Go back all the way back to Dick Vermeil, and tell me how good the freaking Eagles were leading up to Buddy Ryan coming in. They were in the basement with the damn Cardinals for almost 15 years. Okay, Buddy Ryan came in and instantly created respectability. First on the defensive side of the ball, and you got to understand.
Wait a minute. They went to the Super Bowl in 1980,
But
the 1980
wait a minute.
season, and then
You didn't listen to my question. You didn't listen to my statement. I said from the time that Dick Vermeil ended, okay, until Buddy Ryan came in as the head coach, they were bottom dwellers in the NFC East. And the entire
that was less than 6 years. It was like 5 years.
doesn't matter. We were still crap. We were the laughing stock, right along with the Arizona with the St. Louis Cardinals. Okay, absolute laughing stock. Now, Buddy, his plan, and when you're that bad for that long, it takes. We're not living. It's not like we were living in the free agency age where you can go and and offer and improve your team. You had to do it via the draft, and you had to do it via cast-offs that you could bring in and develop. Okay, Buddy's thing was he was going to recreate the Chicago Bears defense, and he was going to do that first. Okay. And then he was going to build out the offense. And he sprinkled in some pieces. He drafted Keith Byers first in his first year. He drafted Keith Jackson, first, in that year, in the third year. So it wasn't like he was completely devoid, but he spent his assets on building the defense first. And I know that it wasn't like he didn't know that the offense needed help, because 2 days before he got fired, Howard, I was in his office sitting with him. We were talking. Okay. I walked in his office. He turned off the film. He said, sit down, let's chat for a while. He goes, I'm in here, I'm watching film. He said, I got to build an offensive line for Randall Cunningham to give us an opportunity to be successful. Okay. And Buddy, I think Buddy was the one that actually drafted Fred Barnett and Calvin Johnson, if my memory serves me correct. Okay.
I think you might be right. Yeah.
Yes. So he said, I got to build an offensive line for Randall. He says, everybody are enamored with, this Davis kid and this McCray kid out of Tennessee. He said, but neither one of them can play dead. He said, but this kid I'm looking at right here, and he turned the film back on. He said, this kid right here is going to be a perennial Pro Bowler, and he may be a Hall of Famer. You want to know who that was?
Who's that?
Eric Williams.
Who?
Eric Williams, that the Dallas
Oh,
Cowboys
yeah,
drafted.
right,
So
right.
Buddy got fired 2 days later. Rich Kotite takes over as the head coach.
Well, he was an idiot. Yeah.
He and Harry Gamble thought it was the best thing to do to move up and trade away 2 draft picks to move up and pick Anton Davis. And we were already in position to get Eric Williams. So we move up and get him, and then Dallas comes behind us and takes Eric Williams. The rest is history. Okay.
Yeah, and Eric Williams was from the area. I know.
Yeah.
It just, yeah. Hey, listen, I was not a fan of Buddy. He didn't win a playoff game. I think it was 0-3. Didn't he yank a quarterback in a playoff game? Didn't he yank Randall for Jim McMahon? I don't know if you were still here at that time. He yanked Randall Cunningham for Jim.
Well, it couldn't have been during my time.
No,
we graduated from the Eagles damn near at the same time.
Yeah. Okay.
But I'm just saying, listen, in a lot of ways, people are going to look at that era and say, hey, they never won anything. You're right. Because, in order to be successful in the playoffs, it takes great skill, which we had, but it also takes a little bit of luck. Okay.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Because the year we go into Chicago and the fog rolls in for the Fog Bowl, like that was our Super Bowl year. And this is why I'll tell you that it's true. Okay. So I was up in New York playing in a golf tournament with a bunch of giants. It was O.J. Anderson's golf tournament.
Right.
And I was the only Eagle up there. So after the golf tournament's over, we're all sitting on the back porch, drinking and smoking cigars. And I'm sitting next to LT, and we're like, we're all out there chopping it up. There's a bunch of Giants guys. And the Fog Bowl comes up. And LT looks at me. He's like, man, you know what? He would say, you know what I remember about the Fog Bowl? He said, the minute that you guys lost to Chicago in that game, he said, that's the moment that we knew we were winning the Super Bowl. I'm like, what are you talking about? He says, we weren't worried. The Giants, we weren't worried about any other team in the NFC. He said, we weren't worried about anybody else. He said, we weren't worried about Chicago. We weren't worried about San Francisco. And I forget who the other team was in the divisional round. He said, we weren't worried about them. He said, but y'all had already kicked our asses twice in the regular season. And we knew that our offense could do nothing with you guys. Nothing. He said, so the minute that you lost, we knew we were winning the Super Bowl. And if you remember, I think that they beat Chicago the next week. And no, that whoever that fourth team was in that final round, they beat them. Yeah. And then Chicago lost to San Francisco, and the Giants were the number 1 seed. So they go into Giant Stadium. And that's the game where Jim Burke almost kills Joe Montana. And then the Giants go on to the Super Bowl that year, and they win it. That was our year to win the Super Bowl right there. That was our year. And we get knocked out because of the fog. And then we go into Chicago, and then Randall gets his knee tore up, Bud Carson's first year, and we go number 1 across the board in defense, 10-6 record. Like 30 points in those 6 games that we lost, and we don't even get to the playoffs that year. Don't even make it to the playoffs with a 10-6 record. So everything is all about timing and luck.
Yeah, sure.
And all of those things. And when we were ready to win, Buddy's last 2-3 years, the cards didn't fall right for us. That's just the facts.
Yeah. All right. Well, I like to go back.
I love talking with you, man. And we've kind of evolved from a different perspective, over the years. Like, you hated me and I didn't like you, and I didn't think you knew shit about football, and you didn't think I knew shit about football. But I like giving you these kinds of facts. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, okay.
Because now you can begin to look at those years in a different perspective.
I do not use the word hate. I may have disliked you many times.
No, did I say hate? Did I say hate?
Yeah, hate.
If I said hate, I apologize, because
hate's a terrible word. Yeah.
Yeah, I apologize, because
that's all right.
That's too strong.
Love means never having to say you're sorry. All right. It's just, hey, we can go after each other because we understand each other. That's the whole thing. We understand. You have an opinion. I have an opinion. I'm usually right. And then you kind of mix in some of your stuff. It's
Hey,
all
listen,
right.
this is your show. I'm gonna give you that one.
Okay. Well, then when I'm on your show, you can kick my ass. All right. All right. All right, brother. Hey, Seth, I appreciate it. Good luck with the shows. And uh, it's football. So we're all going to have some fun. It's football season starting Thursday night. Take care. Thanks again. We'll do it again sometime. Thanks,
All
Seth.
good, my friend. You got
All
it.
right. Take care. Seth Joyner. We didn't agree with each other a lot because I ripped Buddy Ryan and I ripped the defense because Buddy Ryan really cared about the defense. It's just nonsense. It's nonsense. But hey, there's still some things that I want to do. I do want to. I want to deal with this. By the way, if you're at a bank tomorrow, you might want to take out a loan if you're going to the Eagles game because the concessions, you will need a loan to buy the concessions, especially if you're taking your family. You're going to need a loan. It's so ridiculous. But I'm going to deal with, I have a friend, an AI friend, not a friend because AI is AI. And I think this is really cool. And we're going to have fun with, and she's going to explain to you the concession prices at other stadiums, a couple other stadiums compared to the Eagles. But first, I want to tell you again, I want to thank Stillwell Financial Advisors because they really are important to the show and they're important to you. I mean, it's not just about the show, it's about helping you manage your wealth and setting you up for the future. That is really, really important. And Jeff Stillwell at Stillwell Financial Advisors can help you do that really well. He knows, when I say he knows his stuff. Jeff Stillwell, you can get in touch with him, 732 343 0813. And I also want to thank our other people that support this show, Piazza Property Pros, out there yesterday to talk to them. And I'm telling you, they're killing it with all the work they're doing. And the reason they're doing a lot of work, look how nice they can make a property. They can do that, and they can build in-ground pools. They can do a lot of things with 25 years of experience. They know their stuff. Piazza Property Pros, they really do know their stuff. 25 years, and they don't subcontract, so they know what they're doing. The work is done by their people, excavation, landscaping, pool maintenance, whatever it may be. Give them a call, and they'll work within your budget. Great people, 610-566-2608. Schedule a free consultation at 610-566-2608 or on the internet, piazzaoutdoor.com. And another great situation right now, and this probably has only a few weeks left. Audi Westchester will lease a new 2025 Audi Q6 e-tron for $499 a month, or an Audi Q4 e-tron for $399 a month. You'll need $5,295 down for the Q6 and $4,156 down for the Q4, plus taxes and registration fees. Stop by Audi Westchester for more details. Their new facility is beautiful, but you're going to get a great deal right now. And the tax credits on the electric cars don't last that long. This special offer won't last long. Lease a new 2025 Audi Q6 e-tron for $499 a month, or a Q4 e-tron for $399 a month. Check them out, AudiWestchester.com. That's AudiWestchester.com. All right. Last week, we had a question. And we had a winner of the Oakley sunglasses. And Patty Horvath answered the question correctly. What did Jerry Jones say improved with the Cowboys by the trade of Micah Parsons? He said they had to improve their run defense. And Patty Horvath, I'm sure there's others that had the correct answer, but she was selected at random. And I think that's Patty H when I see her on the chat board. But I think she was a donor for one of the fundraisers that I had a few years ago, if I'm not mistaken. It's just I think she was a donor, but she's if that's the same Patty Horvath, I thank her, and she did well. Congratulations on winning the sunglasses. All right. Tonight you're going to win a Mike Schmidt baseball, but I'll come up with the question shortly. But I want to do something with AI, and it's about the concession prices. But before we do that, let me tell you that I will make, as I do during football season, raising money for two SPCAs in the Delaware County, Brandywine Valley SPCA and Providence Animal Center. I'll make picks, small donations. People, I'm actually looking for one more title sponsor to make a contribution each month, and all that money goes to both of those great facilities. And I will make my picks, especially on Saturday and Sunday. If I don't like a game, like Friday night's game, I'm not sure about yet with Kansas City and the Chargers, and Monday night's game, I'm not sure about yet. But you'll be able to. Uh, uh, you see, because I'll post my picks. All right. The first thing I want to deal with, Bill Belichick, the nonsense after his first game. Check this picture out. He lost. He got smoked by TCU, smoked. And there was balloons set up at the news conference. Now that had to be the idea of his girlfriend. North Carolina's not going to do that. Had to be the idea of his girlfriend to set up balloons. What do you want balloons there for when you got your ass kicked 48, what was it, 48-14? It's a complete joke, a complete, absolute joke, a complete joke, but whatever. All right. So here's, this is great. The concession price, by the way, let me just mention, the commissioner was asked today about Taylor Swift possibly singing at halftime in the Super Bowl. I will make this prediction, and I believe this is a stone cold mortal lock. She will not sing at halftime, but he puts it out there. So now we'll talk about that all year. Taylor Swift doesn't need to sing at halftime. She's got all these different things she does. You can't set that up at a halftime show that runs 18 minutes. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Come on, Roger, tell the friggin' truth. She ain't singing at the Super Bowl. She's not. She's not singing at the Super Bowl. She's not singing at the Super Bowl. She's not. So let's get out of the way. All right. Now, let me see. Here's what I want to do. All right. The concession prices in Baltimore and Atlanta make this look like a joke. And here is my AI person to help me explain to you how outrageous the prices are. Hold it, let me just check something here. But so I'm going to go to my. Let me. Where am I here? I'm going to go to my AI person, and we'll compare prices now. This is something I'm doing. You'll think this is funny. All right. So here's my AI person. Can you tell me what the concession prices are at the Baltimore Ravens games?
Sure. Baltimore's still the bargain king. Flock-friendly fare. Popcorn, $1.99. Pretzel, $1.99. Hot dog, $3.49. Fries, $3.49. Nachos, $4.49. BBQ sandwich, $4.99. Beer, $4.99. Family pack feeds 4 for $38. Not bad for stadium eats.
No, it's actually very good. All right, compare that now to the prices at Philadelphia Eagles games.
Baltimore's practically free compared to Philly. Popcorn, $1.99 there, $9 here. Hot dogs, $3.49 versus $6. Beer, $4.99 against $18.50. Family packs, $38. Eagles would charge triple easy. I'd say Ravens win by a landslide.
Well, clearly. All right, so now let's compare. Let's compare. Give me the prices for the Atlanta Falcons, the concession prices for the Atlanta Falcons games.
Atlanta keeps it cheap. Hot dogs, $2. Popcorn, $2. Pretzel, $2. Beer, $5 for a small domestic. That whole $20 haul, Pizza, tenders, fries, nachos, unlimited soda beats Philly's 55 for the same stuff. Falcons basically say, eat like a king without the regret.
All right. So you're telling me they have a $20 package. Run that down again.
Sure. In Atlanta, it's pretzels, popcorn, hot dogs, pizza slices, tenders with fries, cheese nachos, and that bottomless Coke, all for 20. Can't even get the nachos alone in Philly without coughing up 17.
The Coke is free refills in Atlanta, correct?
Yes, refills are free while you're inside the stadium.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. The difference in prices. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. But I thank you. Is there any other stadium that's really inexpensive in the NFL?
Miami's Hard Rock Stadium. Hot dogs 4, beer 5. Combo deal around 9 for the pair. No fancy bundle, but you won't bleed cash like in Philly.
So you're telling me that Aramark, the concessionaire in Philadelphia, is really can I say really outrageous with their prices for concessions?
Yeah, they're catching hell on social media. People are livid, especially after prices jumped last year. Aramark says it's supply chain, but come on, $18.50 for a beer? Outrageous is the word.
Thank you very much.
Anytime.
See that? That should be a feature. That should be a feature of the show. That really should be a feature of the show. And if you have, hold on for a second, I'm taking care of something here. If you have a question that you have no idea what the answer is, see, I wanted to do the concession question before the first game, and my AI friend helped me out dramatically with that. So I I what was that, Joe? Joe, my producer. What was it? What did you? The King Bot. She said, "How about somebody in a message here? The cheapest beer is $18.50. Apparently, it is at Lincoln Financial Field. Can you believe that? $18.50 for a beer." But we got to do that. Ted Rhodes says that's awesome. So also Aramark workers. I don't want to talk about the workers because years ago they didn't give the workers all the tips that they were supposed to get when they worked the suites. And the Phillies, to the Phillies and Eagles' credit, they really took care of that and said, "No, no, you can't do that. You can't do that." So if people have questions for my AI friend, if somebody has a question real quick, and they put it on the chat box, I will ask my AI friend. If you have, you can ask a serious question. She's got all the information. She's got all, but it would be a nice feature if we write down some questions, and you have questions. We'll do a feature at the end of all the shows on my AI, and my AI friend will take care of that. But she compared the prices. Can you imagine that? $20, and you can't eat it all, but you can feed more than one person. That's in Atlanta. Baltimore, it's like it's a third or 25% of what it is. We as people and as fans really have to get Aramark to realize that that's not fair to the people. It's hard enough to take a family to a game, and I understand that, and I understand ticket prices go up, but you can't do that to people. I mean, you can't. $18.50 for a beer. How about the crab fries? 17.50 for crab fries. But if you want the cheese, it's an extra $5. You're kidding me, right? You're kidding me. So we'll use more of AI when we see fit. You know what? George says the AI feature is great. If I have a question that I see out there in the chat and I don't have an answer, I'll just go to my AI friend and come up with an answer. But I appreciate. I don't see anybody. Now, Scott is wrong. It's not Aramark City of Philadelphia. It is Aramark. Aramark sets the prices. And the crab fry, $17.50 at the Link and $12 at Citizens Bank Park. Now, it's $9 in Chickies and Pete's. I think that's with the cheese. But the cheese is $5. I don't know what it is at Citizens Bank Park. But no, Aramark sets the prices. They set the prices. They basically have a monopoly in this city, and that's part of the problem. Domestic beer $18.50. I see Joe. Crab fry $17.50. Chicken cutlet $17. Bottled water $7.75. It's like 1/3 to 25%. How about the free refills in Atlanta for your soda? Is that incredible? So, all right. So we will have an AI feature. Ask AI if Nick really didn't know that tomorrow is banner night. Yeah, well, she wouldn't know that, Pat. She wouldn't know that. It's just, let me ask her if she knows it's banner night. Do you know the special events that the Eagles are going to have before Thursday night's game against the Cowboys?
Before kickoff, they're raising the Super Bowl banner. No players on field for it, though. Then expect a Sue Pep rally from 10 a.m. with chants and birds. And if you can't get in, DraftKings is throwing a free watch party in Fishtown starting 6 with Fletcher Cox, Foles, and Deeplo later. SEPTA's adding express trains too, sponsored for just this game. Last one out leaves midnight 15.
Well, so you better be out of there by 12:15. But the other thing is, she knows, and thank you very much. She knows, my AI friend, before kickoff, they are raising the Super Bowl banner, and she already knows that there's not going to be any players on the field. I have a bet with Seth Joyner, so they. She knows. My AI friend knows a lot. Knows a lot. Hey, Gary, I'm going to ask her this question, but she's not going to have any idea. All right. Gary wants to know. Yeah, let me go here. Do you think the Phillies defense is good enough to win the World Series?
Honestly, it's shaky at best. Rojas and Turner handle their spots, but left field's been a black hole. And Bohm's arm? Forget it. They've ranked middle of the pack all year, and web previews for 2025 scream center field help. Without upgrades, no way they outlast October.
So she answered that. It's unbelievable. By the way, let me tell you, and I'll make a quick point here. The reason people are outraged that the Phillies didn't bring up Crawford or Andrew Painter for the September call-ups. You know why they didn't do it? It's about saving money. They don't want to start the clock on their free agency, which is not for 6-year arbitrations like in 3. But stop. Are you trying to win? Are you trying to win, or you're worried about what your contracts are going to be down the line? If you're trying to win, you got to go all in. You have to go all in. AI slammed the Phillies just like Eskin. I don't slam. If they play well, I'll tell you they play well. But AI answered the question. I had no influence in that. None. By the way, all right, here's the question to win the Mike Schmidt autographed baseball. Let me make sure I get this question correct. To win the Mike Schmidt autograph baseball, what did Buddy Ryan tell Seth Joyner right before he was fired? What did he tell? And you got to dig a little deep. And we can use either question. Giants knew they would win the Super Bowl after what? All right. So those are two things that he said. People, send your answers to howardeskin.com by midnight Friday, September 5th, and you will be eligible. And we'll pick somebody at random. You will be eligible to win the Mike Schmidt autographed baseball. I'll have other autographs too from baseball players, but you can watch us on X, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Subscribe to YouTube, and you're notified as soon as the show goes live. And it's easy enough to find the show. So thank you. Thank you to everyone involved in the show. Thanks to Seth Joyner. We did kind of disagree with each other a lot. I will say that, but that's all right because I just didn't like Buddy Ryan. That's how it started off. And thanks to Joe Gangemi, who produces it from his studio. And thanks to Tony Anastasia, who does a lot of things for the show and the graphics and a lot of good things for the show. Thanks to everybody. And thank you for watching the Howard Eskin Show. Take care, and we'll see you on Saturday. And then I'm telling you, I think it's going to be a tough game, but I'll put something out on my picks page on Thursday, and then we'll talk about the game on Saturday, and we'll try to bring my AI friend back in to answer some questions. Thanks, and have a great night and a great day. Thank you.